You've been saying it your whole life, but you were never told what it actually does. The Lord's Prayer isn't just a prayer, it's a spiritual technology. Every line is a code, a hidden map, not to heaven after you die, but to the kingdom within you, right now. Jesus never said to chant it like a spell. He said, pray like this. Because this wasn't meant to be recited, it was meant to awaken you. And once you see what it really means, you'll never say it the same again. If something inside you has always felt like there was more, if the words gave you chills but the church gave you silence, then you're not just curious, you're remembering. Let's decode the Lord's Prayer together, and by the end of this video, you won't just recite it. You'll remember what it really is: a spiritual activation, a cosmic code, a map back to your original self, not the one religion told you to be, the one God actually formed in secret, before the world gave you a name. Let's begin. Let's start where it all begins. Not with religion, not with doctrine, not with a memorized script. Let's start with the first breath of the prayer, the one you've likely said your whole life, but maybe never really felt. Our Father, who art in heaven. Don't skip past that line. That one sentence holds more power than most people realize. It's not just an introduction, it's an activation. That first word, our. It hits different when you really hear it. Not my, not thee, but our. The moment those words leave your mouth, something happens. The ego starts to dissolve. You stop praying as a separate self trying to reach a distant God, and start praying as part of something larger. You're not alone in this. You never were. You're speaking as part of the body, a hidden communion of souls, all reaching toward the same light. You're not just talking to God. You're stepping back into the remembered family of the divine. All the forgotten ones, the wanderers, the seekers, all of us who've carried a memory we couldn't explain, that we come from something higher and that it's calling us back. That one word, our, it's not small, it's a thread. And the moment you say it, you're already woven back into something sacred. And then comes the second word that got mistranslated, misunderstood, and weaponized. Father. Let's strip the church version from your mind for a second. Jesus didn't speak English. He didn't say father the way we think dad. He used the Aramaic word abun. One word that carried multiple layers: father, mother, source, womb, breather of life. So when Jesus said this line, he wasn't saying, dear man in the sky. He was saying, beloved source, from whom everything is born. That means you didn't come from a mistake. You didn't begin in shame. You're not some fallen creature clawing your way toward worthiness. You came from Abun, from divine breath, divine intelligence, divine intention. And in that one word, he's reminding you who you really are, a spark from the source, not an orphan trying to behave your way back into love, but a child of the infinite, already cradled in it. The church made this prayer a performance, but Jesus made it a return. And then, he says something even wilder. Who art in heaven? Now most people stop thinking here. They imagine clouds, gold gates, a throne, some distant reward for those who behave well. But Jesus never pointed up, not once. He said, the kingdom of God is within you. So when he says, who art in heaven, he's not talking about location. He's talking about dimension. Heaven isn't up there. It's in here. It's the space inside you that still remembers God. The untouched place. The garden beneath the noise. The part of you that was never wounded. So when you say, Our Father who art in heaven, you're not trying to reach someone far away. You're calling back the part of you that already knows. The part of you that never left the garden. The part of you that never stopped being holy. That's the part this line speaks to. And the real power comes when you stop saying the line from your throat and start saying it from your memory. Not memory of the mind, but memory of the soul. Because this isn't just a greeting, it's a remembering. You're not praying to a God in the sky. You're returning to the source within. You're waking up from the lie of separation. You're not a sinner begging for mercy. You're a soul remembering its lineage. This first line is Jesus taking your hand and leading you back to where it all began. Not in guilt, not in fear, but in divine origin. So next time you whisper that line, don't repeat it like a child hoping to be heard. Say it like someone who remembers where they came from. Say it like someone who knows. Heaven is not later. It's not elsewhere. It's inside you. And it's been waiting. Because the next line, that's where it shifts. That's where Jesus gives us a vibration, a name, a frequency, one the church has translated as holy. But it's something far more powerful than that, and when you speak it the right way, it doesn't just honor God, it begins to activate you. Let's go there next. Hallowed be thy name. Most people skip right over this line. It sounds poetic, old, like something you're supposed to whisper in church when the organ's playing. But Jesus wasn't being poetic here. He was revealing a code. He wasn't saying, respect God's name. He was saying, the name itself is the doorway. And here's the key hardly anyone tells you. The name of God wasn't even fully pronounceable, not in the way we understand language today. In the Hebrew tradition, it was 4 letters, Yod, He, Vav, He. Not a word, not a title, but a vibration, a breath. It was so sacred, so holy that the high priest wouldn't even say it, not out loud, not even to themselves, because it wasn't made of consonants and vowels. It was made of being. It was the pulse behind creation, the exhale that birthed the galaxies. It was the whisper in the wind before time even had a name. And Jesus, he knew this. So when he said, hallowed be thy name, he wasn't talking about some distant title you write on a scroll. He was saying, let the vibration of God's presence be awakened in you again. The tragedy? Religion turned the name into a weapon, into something forbidden, untouchable, guarded by doctrine and fear. But Jesus came to put it back into your lungs, back into your bones, back into your ordinary life, so that you didn't just speak the name, you embodied it. Every inhale you've ever taken, every exhale you've ever released, was unknowingly saying it. Yod, inhale. Heh, exhale. Vav, inhale. Heh, exhale. Every living being is saying the name of God, without even realizing it. That's how close God is, closer than your own thoughts. Before you speak, he already breathed into you. You are carved from his breath. That's what Jesus meant. Hallowed be thy name isn't passive reverence. It's a spiritual rebellion, a reawakening of the divine name within you. It's a call to remember what was stolen, a return to what you carry in your lungs. So when you whisper this line, don't just say it like a robot. Feel it. Pause. Let your own breath become the temple. You see, Jesus wasn't trying to give you a prayer to memorize. He was trying to reignite the original connection. He wasn't pointing up. He was pointing in. The name is not a sound on your lips. It's a light in your spine, a breath in your belly, a memory in your soul that says, you come from the same source. You are still connected. You were made in the name, breathed into being by that name. And every time you forget who you are, this line brings you back. Let it not just be sacred in heaven. Let it be sacred in me. You want the real reason your prayers have felt empty? Why you've said the words but felt no presence? Because the words were never meant to be recited without breath, without remembrance, without alignment. This line reattunes you. It brings your human frequency back into harmony with the source. And that's the hidden power of this prayer. Jesus didn't just teach it as words. He gave it as a spiritual tuning fork. Each line vibrates with divine resonance. And this line, hallowed be thy name, is the one that clears the static. It prepares you for what comes next, because when you re-honor the name, you reawaken the relationship. The kingdom starts to rise inside you again. So now you know. The name was never outside you. It was encoded into your breath, waiting for the day you'd remember. But if the name was hidden in the breath, then what else did Jesus hide in plain sight? The next line of the prayer holds the most dangerous phrase ever spoken, one that terrified empires, one that the church tried to tame, because it didn't just reveal God's will, it revealed yours. And if you truly understood what it meant, you wouldn't just say it, you'd unleash it. We're about to decode it. But I need to warn you. What comes next will shatter what you were taught about God, and reveal what you were truly born to bring into this world. Ready? Let's go into the next code. Thy kingdom come. You've probably said it hundreds of times, maybe thousands, but have you ever stopped, truly stopped, to ask, where is this kingdom? What is it? And why did Jesus say to call it forth, rather than wait to enter it? This line isn't about waiting to die and float away to a golden place in the sky. It's not about pearly gates or clouds or harps or some eternal after party. This line is the heartbeat of Jesus' entire teaching. It's the thunder beneath everything he said, because the kingdom isn't up there. It's not later. It's here. It's now. The kingdom is within you. He said it plainly. The kingdom of God is within you, not in temples, not in churches, not in rituals, robes, or religion. It's already inside, coded into your being. And this line is the activation command. When you say, thy kingdom come, you're not begging heaven to rescue you. You're summoning the divine blueprint back into your body, your breath, your decisions, your day. It's a sacred revolt against the false world, a remembering of what's real. Because here's the truth. No one told you in Sunday school, the world you live in now, the chaos, the corruption, the soul-numbing routine, is not the kingdom. It's the counterfeit, the fake empire that rose up while we forgot who we were. But when Jesus taught this line, he wasn't speaking to a crowd of helpless sinners. He was speaking to awakening kings, to queens in exile, to those who had forgotten their crown. This line isn't just a request. It's a declaration. It's the return of divine order. It's the real you standing up inside the false you and saying, no more sleep, no more exile. The kingdom is coming through me, because that's how it works. It doesn't drop from the sky. It arrives through the awakened one, through the soul who says, I'm done waiting, I'm done wandering, let heaven break in, right here, right now. And here's where it gets deeper. When you say that thy kingdom come, you're not only calling for a new world, you're agreeing to become the vessel through which that new world emerges. That's why this line scared religious powers. Because it doesn't just speak to God's dominion, it speaks to your divine assignment. You are the landing pad. You are the bridge between what is and what will be. You are the portal through which the kingdom returns. And the moment you mean this line, not recite it, but burn it into your bones, the illusions around you start to tremble, because the old empire can't survive once the kingdom starts coming through you. You may feel the resistance. People may call you extreme, lost, deluded, or dangerous, but that's how you know it's working. That's how you know you were born to bring the kingdom. You, not just Jesus, not just prophets or saints, you. And here's the real secret they never told you. The kingdom doesn't come by force. It comes through alignment. When your inner world reflects heaven, peace, clarity, truth, divine will, then your outer world begins to reshape around it. Heaven isn't a destination. It's a frequency. It's a mirror. You don't just enter it, you become it. And when you do, everything changes, not always instantly, not always comfortably, but with every breath aligned to that kingdom, you become a walking Eden. You become the proof that the divine never left, because now it lives in you. And just before we move on, there's one more mystery here. The line doesn't say the kingdom come to me, it just says, thy kingdom come, because it was never about receiving something from outside. It was about unleashing what was already inside. And that, my friend, is what makes you dangerous to the old world. You're not here to escape Earth. You're here to restore it. If you're still here, it means the code is alive in you. Most scroll past, but you stayed, not out of curiosity, out of memory. Something inside is surfacing, not new, just forgotten. You felt it for years, the cracks, the missing pieces, the echo in the silence when no one else could hear. But this is your signal. So pause, breathe. Mark this moment as sacred. Click the like button, not for the algorithm, but as a torch, a flare. For the others like you still wandering, click subscribe to hold the line, to stay tethered to the awakening. And in the comments, leave your mark. I am waking up. That's not a phrase. It's a vow, a ripple, a remembering. So you remembered. You marked it. You felt the stirrings, the ache, the knowing. But now comes the deeper challenge. Because the next line in the Lord's Prayer, it's not just a prayer, it's a summoning. Most people think it means surrendering to some distant God's control. But what if I told you, this line is actually a blueprint for how to awaken the kingdom within, and that heaven isn't where you're going, it's what you're here to bring. Let's decode it. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. You've heard this line so many times, but almost no one understands what it actually means. Thy will be done. For centuries, it was preached as a surrender to fate. As if God was some distant king, and you, just a lowly servant, awaiting orders. So people gave up their power, accepting suffering as God's mysterious plan. Tragedy, His will. Pain, His will. Oppression, even that, His will. That is not what Jesus meant. He wasn't teaching blind submission. He was teaching sacred alignment. The Aramaic word Jesus used wasn't will in the way we think. It was sebiana, a word that means sacred desire, deep creative intention, the impulse of the divine to express and become. So what if this line was never meant to make you small, but to awaken the divine longing inside you? Thy will be done is not about getting out of the way. It's about becoming the way, letting the intention of the divine move through you, shape through you, express through you. And then comes the most misinterpreted line in the entire prayer, on earth as it is in heaven. Most hear that and picture clouds, harps, and golden gates. But Jesus wasn't talking about a place you go when you die. He was talking about a realm you bring forth while you live. Heaven to him was not a location. It was a state of being, a condition of soul alignment, a realm of total coherence between the inner and the outer. So when he said, on earth as it is in heaven, he was giving you a blueprint. He was saying, what is true in the invisible must become true in the visible. What is whole in the spirit must become whole in the body. What is divine in the heavens must be born through your hands, your words, your relationships, your daily breath. He was not praying for escape. He was praying for embodiment. And that flips everything upside down. You weren't born to flee this world and wait for a rescue. You were born to transfigure it, to make earth reflect heaven, to become a walking tabernacle where the sacred dimension touches down. You're the landing site. And if you still believe that heaven is only for later, that it's somewhere else, someday, then religion succeeded in blinding you to your purpose. Because here's the truth they never taught. Heaven is a frequency, a dimension. It's not there. It's here, but only visible to those who carry the same vibration. And hell? Hell is disconnection. It's forgetting who you are. It's living with no mirror of the divine in your own face. You don't go to heaven or hell. You emanate one or the other, depending on what you're aligned with. So what is the will of God? That the divine be made known in the flesh, that the eternal be mirrored through the temporal, that you become the place where the unseen becomes seen. That is not passive, that is priestly. Thy will be done is a summons to remember, to rise, to restore what was split. Because if earth is to look like heaven, then your life must become the temple. But if heaven is within you, and the kingdom is no longer a far-off promise, then you're not waiting for something to come. You're being asked to become it. But that kind of becoming, it requires fuel, a hidden nourishment, a daily initiation. Because the next line in the Lord's Prayer isn't about bread from a bakery, it's about the forgotten manna that feeds your divine memory. And once you taste it, you'll never be able to eat the world's lies again. They told us this line was about survival, as if Jesus, the embodiment of divine presence, was teaching us to beg for crumbs, as if the sacred prayer was just a daily grocery list for God. But something deeper is encoded here, because the real ones know this line is a portal, a riddle hiding something ancient, something mystical, not about bread at all, at least not the kind you buy. When Jesus said, "Give us this day our daily bread," he was speaking not to the body, but to the inner man, the real you, the one that lives beyond time, the one who doesn't need food to survive, but remembrance to stay awake. And that word daily? It's not the word we think it is. In the original Greek, there's a strange, almost untranslatable word, epiousios. It doesn't mean daily like we understand it. It literally means super essential or beyond the physical. Not just today's bread, but the bread of the age to come. The sustenance of another dimension. This wasn't about God handing you a sandwich. It was about you learning to receive the frequency of heaven, moment by moment. You see, in the old temple, the priests didn't just ask for bread. They maintained something sacred called the shewbread, also called the bread of presence. It was placed on the golden table in the holy place, always before the face of God. 12 loaves, one for each tribe, constantly renewed, never allowed to go stale. It wasn't just food, it was a reminder that God's presence is the true provision, that to forget him was to starve. So Jesus, who knew this symbol intimately, was activating memory when he spoke those words. He was saying, every day you wake up, return to presence, return to what's real. Don't just eat, commune. Don't just survive. Remember, this is what it means to pray, not just to ask, but to tune, to align with something that feeds the soul, not just the flesh. And here's the riddle that flips it all. You are not just the one receiving the bread. You are being called to become it. I am the bread of life, Jesus said. He wasn't pointing to food. He was pointing to a frequency, a way of being so whole, so radiant in God, that your very presence becomes nourishment to those around you. The world is starving, not for food, but for light, for clarity, for wholeness. And you who are waking up, are the answer hidden in plain sight. So when you pray, "Give us this day our daily bread," you're not asking for more. You're asking to remember what you already carry. You're asking to become the kind of being who walks as bread, a living communion, a daily offering, not just fed, but feeding. But there's a reason most people can't receive this bread, a reason they stay starving, no matter how much they pray. Because something blocks the flow, something ancient, unresolved, a weight they carry, a debt they've never faced, and unless that hidden code is unlocked, even sacred bread will rot in their hands. And that brings us to the next line, the most dangerous prayer ever spoken. Forgive us our debts, not just a plea, but a spiritual law, and the ones who misunderstand it, they stay bound for lifetimes. Let's decode it. You were never meant to carry this long. The betrayals, the wounds, the moments that froze inside your chest and never thawed. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors was not a polite moral lesson. It was a mystical key, a coded reversal of gravity itself, because when you hold on to their debt, you hold on to your own. And the thing no church dared say out loud? God isn't the one keeping score. You are. Every grudge is a chain. Every silent resentment is a closed gate. Every story where you're still the victim keeps your soul kneeling before the same locked door. To forgive is not to forget. It's not pretending it didn't hurt. It's choosing to no longer bleed for a wound you didn't cause. It's stepping out of the courtroom where your ego keeps replaying the trial over and over, as if the verdict will somehow fix your soul. But it never does, because judgment is a loop, and forgiveness is the only exit. Now, here's what debts actually means in the ancient tongue. Ophilemata, unpaid dues. Energetic contracts still open, pulling at your soul like spiritual IOUs. Some of these are from last year, some from childhood, and some carried from lifetimes ago. And here's the mystery. You can't be released from what you're still enforcing on someone else. That's why Jesus didn't separate the two. Forgive us as we forgive. He was showing you a law, a pattern, a mirror. The way out is through release. Release them not because they earned it, but because you were never meant to stay bound to their shadow. Forgiveness is not just love, it's freedom, it's resurrection. And the moment you extend it, you unbind yourself, you open your vault, you shift timelines, because heaven doesn't flow through clenched fists. And here's the real test. What if the person you're meant to forgive is the one staring back at you in the mirror? But forgiveness isn't the end. It's just the cleansing before the real fire begins. Because next comes the confrontation with evil itself, not the Hollywood version, but the one that hides in plain sight, the one that tempts, whispers, and wears the mask of light. We're about to decode the most dangerous line in the entire prayer, lead us not into temptation. And once you see what it really means, you'll never look at your desires or your demons the same again. Are you ready to descend into the final test? Lead us not into temptation. You were taught this was about weakness, about sin, shame, saying no to chocolate cake or closing the laptop before clicking something dark. But what if this line was never about avoiding bad behavior? What if it was about surviving false light? Because the real temptation isn't in the shadows. It's in the brilliance that blinds. In the original Greek, the word isn't about desire. It's peirasmos, a word that means test, proving, trial by fire. This is not about escaping temptation. It's about passing through the furnace and not mistaking the flame for your home. Temptation doesn't come as evil. It comes as a shortcut. It comes as your own voice saying, you've suffered enough, just take the crown. Jesus didn't just resist sin in the desert. He resisted the easy way out. The enemy offered him the kingdoms of the world, glory, followers, instant status, and he refused. Not because the kingdoms were evil, but because the timing was off. Because the crown without the cross is always counterfeit. This is what most never see. Temptation is rarely about pleasure. It's about premature power, the offer to get the thing your soul longs for, without the death that makes you worthy of it. And so this line in the Lord's Prayer isn't begging to be spared from hard things. It's a code, a declaration. God, lead me not into the temptations that confuse ego for destiny. Lead me not into the glittering lie. Let the fire refine me, but never let me fall asleep in it. Because fire is sacred, but only if you walk through it. Stay too long and it disfigures. Flee too fast and the gold stays hidden. This line is your permission to endure, not escape. It's a cry of the soul that remembers, I don't need to prove myself to anyone but God. I don't want a throne built by fear, lust, or compromise. Because temptation's real danger isn't just in failing it. It's in building a life on the parts of you that it exposes. And many have. Many are sitting on false thrones, with crowns handed to them by shadows, and they don't even know it. But you're being called to something higher, not the avoidance of failure, but the refusal to betray the God seed inside you, no matter what is offered. You've been tested. You may still be. And if you've fallen before, know this. The test only becomes a curse when you let it define you. But when you see it for what it is, a fire sent to burn away what cannot stay. You emerge with clean hands and a clear crown. There's one line left, one final mystery. It's not just about evil. It's not about a red figure with horns or a bad habit. It's about the ancient wound, the thing that tries to claim you as its own, and the only force that can ever set you free from it. In the next chapter, we'll uncover the final seal of the prayer, the deliverance code buried under centuries of fear and silence. Are you ready to remember what evil really is, and what you were born to do with it? Deliver us from evil. This is where most people stop, close their eyes, say amen, and walk away thinking it's about being spared from scary things. But this line is not a plea for safety. It's a summons, because evil isn't just violence, darkness, or demonic figures. In the ancient tongue, it's poneru, meaning the hurtful one, the toil bringer, the burden that crushes the soul. It's the thing that keeps you enslaved to loops, to fear, to punishment cycles so old you think they're part of your personality. This evil isn't out there. It's the wound that whispers, "You're not worthy. You'll always be stuck. You are what happened to you." It's the inner captor, the subtle tormentor that uses your own voice against you. So when Jesus says, "Deliver us from evil," he's not teaching us to beg for protection. He's teaching us to recognize the parasite, the subtle entity that feeds on your unhealed pain, the false identity that was born the day you were broken, and learn to wear a mask just to survive. The evil we beg to be delivered from is the lie we made into a self. Deliver us is not passive. It is a ripping, a casting out, a violent reclamation of the soul. It's the moment you say, "I remember who I am, and I reject the name that pain gave me. I renounce the identity that trauma built for me. I release the false voice that speaks in the tone of shame." This is exorcism. Not from demons with red eyes, but from inherited identities, from the mother wound, the father absence, the religious shame, from the guilt of being gifted, from the fear of being chosen. Evil doesn't want to possess your body. It wants to possess your narrative, to convince you you're broken, that you'll never be clean enough, good enough, Christ-like enough, that you should hide your gift, tone down your truth, and stay safe in cycles that slowly kill your soul. But you were not born to blend in with bondage. You were born to carry fire, to become the kind of human that evil has no hold on. This line, "Deliver us from evil," isn't a request for avoidance. It's a summoning of the real you, the one before the fall, before the labels, before the names that were never yours. Because the evil one's greatest power is not in what he does, but in who he convinces you you are. And this line breaks that spell. You are not your trauma. You are not your shadow. You are not the echo of generational wounds. You are the one who came to end them. This wasn't just a video. It was a key. And you didn't stumble into it. You followed a pull you couldn't explain. And this hidden knowledge was the reward to your soul. Click the like button, not for me, but as a declaration, a sacred response. Your way of saying, "I heard the call, now I remember." Then subscribe, not to follow, but to stay aligned with this path of awakening in you. Every video we release is part of this unfolding, and your presence here shapes what comes next. And if this cracked something open, go deeper. In the description below, you'll find the sacred scrolls. These aren't just resources. They're the lost gospels, Jesus' hidden sayings, the forbidden blueprints, decoded for you. And for the few who are ready to walk with others who carry the same ache, we've built a private sanctuary, a Facebook group, but not like the others. This is for the ones who never fit the system, the ones who still walk with Jesus but no longer kneel to religion, the ones who carry the code. You'll find the links in the description or pinned in the comments section. But don't click lightly. Click as a step, as a vow, as a yes. This moment is a crossroads. One path leads back to sleep, the other leads straight into the fire of remembrance. You already know which one is yours. This was your signal. Go with peace, or if you have more time in your hands, watch another awakening video from our channel to feed your soul.